When Joan Crawford died in 1977, Hollywood grieved a powerhouse who had clawed her way from obscurity to near-mythic stature. She fashioned herself out of nothing and became one of the most formidable women the movies ever produced. Yet, beneath the gloss and discipline, beneath the image she engineered with near-military precision, another narrative waited. In the weeks after her passing, as lawyers unsealed her estate and read her will, the people closest to her and the fans who thought they knew her were jolted by revelations that would echo for decades. From poverty to power, Crawford's life had never been simple. Perhaps that's why her death ignited such lasting curiosity and controversy. She entered the world as Lucille Fay Lasseur on March 23, 1904. Though some documents place the year as 1905 or 1906 in San Antonio, Texas. Her father left soon after she was born, and her mother struggled to raise Lucille and an older brother alone. By 11, the girl was scrubbing azaress, her hands raw from soap and scalding water, carrying loads no child should have to shoulder. At 12, everything changed. Trying to hop a moving car, she slashed her foot on glass so badly doctors considered amputating. After 3 surgeries, she recovered. But the scare planted a lifelong dread of infection, an anxiety that hardened into a fixation on cleanliness, a trait that became part of her public mystique and later a darker note in her private life. Determined to outrun poverty, she left school early and threw herself into dance. By the 1920s, she was performing in Chicago and New York under the stage name Billy Casson. Talent scouts spotted the drive and the camera-ready presence. In 1925, MGM signed her for $75 a week and handed her a new identity, Joan Crawford. The transformation was on. Her rise was swift and unrelenting. In Our Dancing Daughters, she embodied the flapper rush of the jazz age, rehearsing until her feet bled and refusing to stop until the shot landed. By the early 1930s, she was a bona fide sensation, measuring up against Greta Garbo and Norma Shearer. On screen, she often played women who fought their way from nothing to something, fiction that tracked closely with her own climb from household drudge to Hollywood royalty. But while she thrived in public, the private sphere was fragile, riven by insecurity, broken marriages, and an iron insistence on order inside her home. Stardom, rivalries, and family shadows. By the mid-1930s, Crawford was one of MGM's brightest lights. Roles in films like Grand Hotel and Sadie McKee resonated deeply during the Great Depression. She specialized in working-class women who rise through sheer grit, a mirror of her own story and a beacon for audiences scraping by. Yet, strain gathered behind the scenes. Her rivalry with Norma Shearer was legendary. Married to studio executive Irving Thalberg, Shearer often landed prestige roles. "How can I compete with Norma when she's sleeping with the boss?" Crawford once snapped. Even so, Joan Pictures frequently outgrossed Shearer's. With Greta Garbo, the dynamic was different. Garbo was enigmatic distance. Crawford was direct, relatable, tireless. Viewers who felt invisible saw themselves in Joan. Her personal life offered less stability. The first marriage to Douglas Fairbanks Jr. in 1929 ended after 4 years. Friction with his family and rumors of infidelity took their toll. In 1935, she wed actor Franco Tone, a union of passion, public quarrels, and persistent heartbreak. She married a 3rd time in 1942 to actor Philip Terry. Together, they adopted a son whom she later renamed Christopher after the divorce. Unable to conceive, she turned to adoption. In 1940, she adopted Christina, her first, through a baby broker. California barred single women from adopting, then later adopted Christopher and twin girls, Kathy and Cindy. The public saw the ideal glamour mother, photogenic children. Behind that tableau, fissurers widened. As the 1930s closed, her career wobbled. In 1938, she was branded box office poison, an insult that humbled even marquee names. Crawford, however, did not yield. Her ruthlessness for survival would fuel a stunning reinvention in the 1940s. A comeback that restored her crown, yet deepened the split between the steel on screen and what her children say they endured at home. Reinvention, triumph, and decline. In 1943, after nearly 2 decades with MGM, Crawford hit a wall. passed over for roles she coveted. Madame Curie went to Greer Garson. She walked. At 37, she paid $100,000 to end her contract, a move many called career suicide. Her instincts were sharper than the chorus. 2 days later, she signed with Warner Brothers for $500,000 across 3 films and, crucially, script approval. She then waited. For more than a year, she refused uninspired offers, holding out for the right part. It arrived in 1945, Mildred Pierce. She fought for it, submitting to a screen test. A humbling step for a star of her caliber, and won. The performance startled audiences and critics, and she took home the Best Actress Oscar, accepting from bed claiming illness. At 40, she was back on the throne. The victory didn't quiet her demons. She pressed on with Humoresque and Possessed, another Oscar nomination, excelling as Women Under Siege. Lonely, obsessive, sometimes self-destructive characters that hinted at her own wounds. In the 1950s, Sudden Fear earned a 3rd nomination, proof she could still command the frame in middle age. Off-screen, life unraveled. She married Alfred Steele, Pepsi-Cola's CEO, in 1955. After his sudden death in 1959, she plunged into corporate duties and even sat on the board. Meanwhile, her drinking worsened. Whispers of vodka stashed in Pepsi cans trailed her. Her children would later recall that alcohol sharpened her volatility and need for control. By the 1960s, she pivoted again. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane paired her with longtime antagonist Bette Davis in a grotesque, mesmerizing duel of ruined sisters. The film revived her box office magic while the backstage feud grew notorious. Barbs, sabotage accusations, Cold Wars in full view of a fascinated industry. More horror followed, straitjacket trogue. But the authority she once wielded ebbed. Withdrawn and in faltering health, she retired quietly in the mid-1970s. When she died on May 10, 1977, at 73, the world braced for a stately farewell to a legend. Instead, it witnessed one of Hollywood's starkest estate dramas. When Crawford's will was read in 1977, it clashed violently with the image of the devoted mother she had sold to the public. Her estate, valued around $2 million, over $10 million today, was split in a way that stunned Hollywood. 2 of her 4 adopted children, Kathy and Cindy, received trust funds of $77,500 each and inherited personal effects, including the Mildred Pierce Oscar. Charities she supported, like the American Cancer Society and the Muscular Dystrophy Association, were also named generously. Then came the line, "No one forgot." In crisp legal phrasing with the knife edge of a personal cut, the will stated, "It is my intention to make no provision herein for my son Christopher or my daughter Christina for reasons which are well known to them." It was a public, permanent rejection. Christina, so often photographed at her mother's side, had been a fixture of the perfect family tableau. Christopher, adopted in 1943, had grown up in the same glow. Seeing their names excluded was more than financial. It was a final severing. Christina and Christopher contested the will, arguing their mother lacked capacity when she signed, citing heavy drinking, erratic behavior, and possible pressure from Kathy and her husband. The case slogged through court, airing private pain. Headlines feasted as carefully hidden family tensions spilled out. In July 1979, after nearly 2 years, a settlement arrived. $55,000 each for Christina and Christopher. Small compared to the estate and no salve for the wounds, the bitterness metastasized through Christina's memoir, Mommy Dearest, which depicted Crawford as controlling and abusive. For many, the will merely confirmed what the book accused. The flawless mother had been an illusion, and the money was only one piece. As executives and relatives cataloged what she left behind, the belongings themselves seemed to whisper secrets. The estate's division made headlines. The objects inside her homes deepened the unease. Those who sifted through her apartments found items that collided with the immaculate persona she curated. Most unsettling was a collection of doll heads, some neatly displayed, others boxed without bodies. To outsiders, it read as macabre. To those who'd absorbed Christina's accounts of a woman obsessed with control and perfection, they felt like a metaphor. Silent faces remade to suit an ideal. Then there were the locks. Closets and even guest rooms bore heavy-duty hardware. Few private homes used bolts, latches, redundancies. Some saw a desperate need to guard possessions. Others heard an echo of claims that children were confined as punishment, shut in until they complied. In what had been Christopher's room, deep claw-like scratches scored the inside of the door as if someone had tried to get out. Skeptics offered alternative explanations, but the image was hard to shake, aligning too neatly with Christina's stories. A secret safe turned up. 2, stuffed with financial papers, private letters, and photographs. Among them, according to those who saw the cash, were images capturing Crawford, far from the rigid glamour she insisted on. Unguarded moments, sometimes chaotic, that clashed with the lacquered legend. Letters hinted at grudges, scandals, and unresolved feuds, including unsent notes to Christina that suggested Crawford wrestled with guilt and resentment to the end. Taken together, the contents sketched not a marble bust of a star, but a woman who kept much of her life literally and emotionally under lock.